Hello, welcome to STH English. The Indians have gotten some sort of a happiness, a pause from their endless grieving process in the shape of a little sign from the Trump administration that it is bending its ear to their persistent complaints that their case against Pakistan is not heard. Though it is not directly related to Pakistan and Pakistan has got nothing to do with it. However, the Indians' interpretation of this move seems to suggest that they think that they have scored a big victory as far as re-engagement with the Trump administration is concerned. And this has got nothing to do with a specially appointed person traveling from Washington to Delhi and telling them how sorry Donald Trump is that he hosted the Pakistan Army Chief at the Oval Office, and the fact that he continues to bracket Pakistan and India together and accords them, ascribes to them equal diplomatic value. None of that has happened. What has happened is that this obscure group, the resistant front, that India believes and accuses Pakistan of sponsoring and thinks that it is the front for the banned Lashkar-e-Taiba, has been designated by the Trump administration's different departments to be a foreign terrorist organization. And there's the other designation as well that has gone into the Indian happiness, that is of a specially designated terrorist organization. These are two different appellations that Trump administration has used to define this obscure group that India thinks is the mastermind of Pahalgam, the basis of their attempt to impose war on Pakistan, against which they got a befitting response. So the Indians now think that by declaring a specially designated terrorist organization or group and a terrorist foreign terrorist organization or group, Trump administration has endorsed their Pahalgam narrative. Let me take you through the process through which the U.S. system normally picks on many of these groups, evaluates them, and then designates them. And what is the difference between a specially designated terrorist organization and a foreign terrorist organization? I'll take you through that as well. And then conclude this piece by letting you know that Indians' happiness probably is going to be short-lived. The designation process is complex and yet simple if you were to go through its various steps. The first is that they gathered intelligence. The U.S. government uses FBI, Central Intelligence Agency, and the Department of State to gather intelligence. Based on these intelligence reports, they make their own recommendation. And then there is a process called the interagency review, in which the Justice Department, the Treasury Department, the State Department review these recommendations. And then starts the process of designation. So if the group meets the criteria for designation, the Secretary of State, in consultation with the Attorney General and the Secretary of the Treasury, designates the group as Foreign Terrorist Organization, FTO, under the Immigration and Nationality Act, or as a specially designated global terrorist group, SDGT, under the Executive Order 13224. That's when the designation starts. So the resistance front has been hit by both these designations. Now, where does the Treasury Department comes in all of this? The Treasury Department has another wing, and that wing deals with the foreign assets of an individual or a designated group. It is called the Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC. So when OFAC is activated, a different set of sanctions kick in. What are those sanctions? Americans are prohibited from interacting with these groups through financial means. No funding can take place. No business can take place. No donations can be made. If there are assets that these groups have, they will be frozen. A whole range and raft of sanctions kick in. What is the difference between a foreign terrorist organization and a specially designated terrorist organization group? The difference is not much, but in terms of the scope of two designations, they vary a bit. Foreign terrorist organization means an organization that threatens American interest and American nationals. The specially designated terrorist organization that is designated by the Treasury Department subsidiary essentially is meant to hit groups or individuals who support terrorism as well. So combine these two designations, they now hit the resistance front. The resistance front, as I initially mentioned, came into view or came into being in 2020 around that time. Not much is known about this group. What is the leadership pattern? Who heads it? It claims to be a splinter group of the banned Lashkar-e-Taiba, and they remain within the purview of a debate that limited circles inside India were centering on them. So there was not really a big mass-scale hoo-ha in the media about them. And it's a peculiar group because it is opaque. There's complete darkness or a pall of darkness over how it operates and where they exist and what is their source of funding and what you may have. And most in Pakistan believe that it is basically a front that the Indians use to heap blame on Pakistan. While the jury is still out on what this group is, this group was certainly blamed by the Indians at the drop of a hat when Pahalgam happened. Though the investigation is still ongoing as far as the link of Pahalgam with any group and the resistance front as well. Indians have made they've claimed some progress on this front. They have caught some people and they are now building post facto after the war is over, some sort of a case about their initial stance that the group is responsible for Pahalgam. But it is happening now. It is not conclusive and it is an ongoing process. This group allegedly accepted the responsibility for Pahalgam. But then within the next 24 hours or so, the group also said that their account had been hacked and they are not the ones who are responsible for Pahalgam. So their second submission on the Pahalgam incident was that the first one actually was an account hacking activity. Our stance is that we have nothing to do with it. So not much of this group is known. We have no sense of its organizational structure, its ability to operate freely across occupied Kashmir, and how in the last 5 years or so, Indians have been unable to really nail them down. But certainly this group is now on the list of the foreign terrorist organization and also the specially designated global terrorist organization. Indians are overjoyed, as Indians should be overjoyed, because this little joy has come to them after a long time. They think that this is one way to re-engage the Trump administration. More than that, they're also saying that Trump administration has endorsed their narrative on Pahalgam and who's responsible for this, and because it's a front for the banned Lashkar-e-Taiba, and Lashkar-e-Taiba is a front for Pakistani establishment, and therefore by designating this group twice in different categories as a terrorist organization, Trump administration has basically bought our case that Pakistan is responsible for this. This is like super maths. This is like defining the universe with reference to how satisfied you feel after you have had a good meal. But grant them this happiness because this has come to them after a long drought of setbacks as far as India-US ties are concerned. But there are some points that need to be raised as far as this designation is concerned. Number one is that if you were to read different laws that are involved in designating groups and individuals as terrorist organizations, they all deal with internal US systems. US is not designating organizations or individuals as terrorists because Indians want them to. The US is doing it because it believes that these groups might be threatening US interests and US citizens. So let's make it very clear that this designation is not about Indian interests. This designation is about the American assessment of the threat that this group or this individual might be posing to their interests. Number two, Indians openly support fronts for banned groups inside Pakistan. There are many fronts that are operating as front groups for or splinter groups of BLA, which is a designated terrorist organization. And Indians own them. Indian officials have openly suggested that they would want to use these groups to create mayhem and spread terrorism inside Pakistan. The Indian media puts them at a high pedestal, crowns them when a blatant terrorist activity such as the train hijack takes place. They get their spokespersons to speak to the Indian media. So there's full ownership of the multiple groups that operate as splinter groups or as front groups or have been recreated after their main group was banned, that is the BLA. Now, Pakistan case about these groups to the US has always been that, well, the Indians claim that this is the group and this is what this group does and this is the country that supports it. We deny it completely. We want transparent investigation into it. But unlike Pakistan, India owns them. India officially supports them through their statements. Indian media lionizes them, projects them, amplifies their message, and they have never condemned the activity that is carried out by these groups, one or all of them, or all of them put together. So our case, Pakistani state is now going to say to the Trump administration, so they will say that our case is much stronger as compared to the Indian case of designating the alleged mastermind of Pahalgam incident. So in the next couple of weeks, you would find Pakistani diplomats and Pakistani representatives of the state pushing very hard and pleading and taking their debate forward with regard to the designation of those front groups that India supports inside Pakistan, that they should also be designated as terrorist groups. And let me tell you that having set the benchmark of or the bar of designating groups as terrorist groups so low as the Trump administration has done with regard to TRF, it will be very difficult for Trump administration to deny Pakistan's case, which is based on impeccable evidence. So while the Indians are overjoyed, they are very happy, they are in a state of ecstasy, this joy is going to be probably short-lived because in the next phase, Pakistan will be asking for similar designation of terrorist organizations and sanctions against those groups that India funds and sponsors inside Pakistan. It's only a matter of time because the Trump administration has already set the framework as to how a group can be designated as a terrorist group using its domestic laws for the resistance front. That designation is now headed straight towards those groups that India thinks are tools of its terrorist policy inside Pakistan.